Hello YouTube. Sorry I haven't made a video in ages on this channel. I've just been really busy because I'm now in business doing public speaking about autism, so I've got quite a busy life. I hope that every now and again when I can, I'll make the odd review or whatever. And I do plan on making the review of the Star Wars films. I know that was on the requests. That was one of the requests of my last review. So I hope to review them eventually. I just decided that for today I'll do a video which I've wanted to do for quite a while now, and that is the top 10 films that I like that most people hate. Because I've noticed quite a lot of people on YouTube seem to be talking about films that they like that most people hate, or films that they hate that most people like. So I thought, I might as well do the same. And maybe sometime after I've done this video, maybe I'll talk about the films that I hate that most people like. And let me just say, this is all my own opinion. So if there's a film that's on this list that you absolutely hate, that's fine. I have nothing wrong with you hating any of these films. Even if one of these films is your least favourite film of all time. I don't care. These are just the films. I find them more enjoyable than the majority of people seem to. Number 10. Stormbreaker. This is the film adaptation of the first book in the Alex Rider series. And this seemed to have got an incredible amount of hate. But honestly, I don't understand why. A lot of the common complaints for this film seem to be that it doesn't follow the book enough. But I thought it followed the book quite well for the most part. I mean, sure, there were a few really unnecessary changes, but let's face it, there are certainly far worse books of film adaptations out there. I thought some of the casting was really good. Others wasn't that good. Like, I didn't think Stephen Fry was the best choice for Smithers. He didn't seem to he wasn't quite the way that Smithers was described in the book. He wasn't as fat and jolly, and he just didn't quite he wasn't quite how I would have imagined Smithers to be. And the boy who played Alex Rider, he was fine, but he was a little bit older, I think, than maybe he should have been. The actor who played him is older than 14. You know, it's just really quite obvious. But yeah, overall, I think Stormbreaker's a good film. And I don't understand why so many people complain about it changing from the book so much. Number 9. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory from 2005. Now, this film seemed to get a lot of hate among people. While I think it was a critical success, scoring 82% on Rotten Tomatoes, I think among audiences it was really quite negative reception. I mean, whenever you look at anybody's top 10 worst remake list, it seems to be on pretty much all of them. I don't really understand all the hate it gets, though. I thought it was actually a very good film. And the people that hate it, they always seem to be comparing it to the original from the 70s. It always seems to be comparing it to that. Because they say that it doesn't have the same heart that the original had, and so on. And they say Johnny Depp was really annoying in it. Those kind of reasons. However, I actually... Now, please don't hate on me for this, okay? If you prefer the original, that's fine. You know, I have nothing wrong with that. However, I actually prefer the 2005 version to the one from the 70s. Because, to me, I feel like there are a lot of things which are done better in the new version from 2005. I actually think having a darker tone, it fits better with that kind of story. And I like the fact that they actually fixed quite a few plot holes that were in the story. Quite a few stuff that aren't really explained in the original are put much better in this one. I actually found Johnny Depp to be a really entertaining Willy Wonka. I really like Johnny Depp. I think he's one of my favourite actors. But I thought in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I actually found him really entertaining. I thought he stole the show for the most part. But I thought overall Tim Burton did a pretty good job with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It follows the book much closer than the original, except for the ending. It's a much closer adaptation to the book. And I find that a lot of the people that have complained, it's been constantly comparing it to the original. It's like, oh, this isn't the same as it is in the original. You know, but there's no comparing it to the book at all. It's just all to the original. Number 8. Fantastic Four from 2005. This is another one which seems to have which really loads of people seem to hate. They seem to say like it's too It doesn't follow the comics very well. At least that's what a lot of people seem to have said. They say it's too filled with comedy. It's not. It's too campy. It's not. It can't be taken seriously very well. And here's what I think. I haven't read the comics, so I don't really know how closely I think they follow the comics. But as for how I just enjoy it as a film, I think it's really silly. There's a lot of really silly things in this film, and it is campy, and it can't really be taken that seriously. And maybe there is a bit more comedy than there should be, but I think it's just a lot of fun to watch. I think if you just look at it as a bit of a piece of entertainment and don't take it that seriously, I think it is very enjoyable and entertaining. I find there to be a lot of laughs in it. I think there are some pretty good performances in it. Overall, I enjoyed Fantastic Four. If you just look at it as a bit, if you just put it on as a piece of popcorn entertainment, I think it's a lot of fun. Number 7, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Now, Temple of Doom and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull are generally considered the weakest out of the Indiana Jones series. I agree on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I don't hate Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I think it's okay, but I think it was really unnecessary and it didn't really add anything to the franchise at all. I think it didn't have to be made at all. But Temple of Doom, I must be in a very small minority on this, but I love Temple of Doom. It's perhaps my favourite out of all the Indiana Jones films. I mean, I'm not like a huge fan of Indiana Jones in general. In the original Indiana Jones trilogy, there are some parts in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the original Indiana Jones, which I think can be a bit boring. Temple of Doom, however, is entertaining throughout. The people that hate it seem to say it's too stupid, that kind of thing. It feels too different from Raiders of the Lost Ark. But I like the fact that it was different from Raiders of the Lost Ark. I kind of feel like The Last Crusade actually felt a bit too similar to Raiders of the Lost Ark in a lot of ways. That doesn't make it bad, of course. I really like The Last Crusade. It's a really good Indiana Jones film. It's probably my second favourite after Temple of Doom, but it is still rather similar to Raiders of the Lost Ark. But Temple of Doom, yeah, I do agree with people that there are some really ridiculous things in it. And there are some stuff which make no sense whatsoever. But in all honesty, it's Indiana Jones, isn't it? I think Indiana Jones does have a lot of ridiculous stuff in. Number 6, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. Now, the first Pirates of the Caribbean was a huge critical success and a huge financial success. Almost everybody seems to love that film. And it got, as a result, there were 2 sequels made to this film back to back. Well, there was a third sequel which came a little bit later, but there were 2 that were made back to back. And the reactions to the second one was really quite mixed. And the reaction towards the third one, well, it's really been mixed to poor. So many people seem to really hate the third one at World's End. They seem to say the plot's too confusing, it's a mess. And in all honesty, this one I can definitely agree with, that there are some... It is really complicated. It is very hard to follow at World's End is. But I think that there's so many good things in it. There are so many things which I think are really... There's so much fun in it and excitement that I almost don't care that there's some stuff that are hard to follow in it. I mean, I'm not defending At World's End as a good film. People who say it's a terrible film, I totally get it. I wouldn't exactly call it a good film, objectively, but I think I just have a lot of fun watching it, and for that reason I do really enjoy it. And I thought it was a lot better than On Stranger Tides, which I thought was okay. I wasn't a big fan of On Stranger Tides. I thought it was pretty dull. Number 5, Johnny English. Now, this is a comedy starring Rowan Atkinson about a spy called Johnny English. Critics generally hated it. I don't think many audiences really liked it. However, I love Johnny English. I thought it was really, really funny. I thought it was a hilarious film. And Rowan Atkinson, he was just brilliant in Johnny English. Sure, the story isn't really anything original, but it is a comedy. And I think that the focus on the film is the comedy. It's what makes you laugh. And for that reason, I really love Johnny English. I think it's one of my favourite comedies. And I also really like the sequel, Johnny English Reborn. I thought that was a very solid sequel. Number 4, The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian. Now, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, I think people generally like that one. You know, when that one came out, the film of the first book, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, the first book that was written, was produced into a film. People generally liked it. Prince Caspian, when that came out, a lot of people really didn't like this. They said a lot of people, fans of the books, hated it. They complained about the constant changes and from the book. And I, however, really, really enjoyed Prince Caspian. I wouldn't say I like it better than The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, the film, but I actually really like... Here's the thing. With the Narnia books, Prince Caspian is probably my least favourite of the Narnia books. Not that much really happens in it, and just left by itself, it wouldn't work very well as a film. If they had just made the film just like the book had been, it wouldn't have been made for a very good film. It works as a book, but as a film, I don't think it would really work very well. So I thought what they did with the book was actually pretty good. I mean, they did change a lot of things. They added stuff in and moved stuff around, but I felt like they at least got the spirit of the book. They got what the book was about. And most of the changes I was okay with. There were a few that I hated. I could not stand the romance between Caspian and Susan. Why did they add that in? I didn't really like the fact that they changed a lot of the dialogue of Aslan. From the way it was in the book, they changed it a bit. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, who cares? Dialogue gets changed all the time in films. But here's the thing. They basically changed the dialogue to a point where it didn't even mean what it originally meant. But still, just looking at Prince Caspian as a film, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was... I like the fact that they got much darker than The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe did. I like the fact that there was more battle scenes. Yeah, I thought it was a good addition to the Narnia franchise. The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, however, I wasn't really a fan of. I didn't really care much for the Voyage of the Dawn Treader film. I mean, there were some good things in it, I thought, but I wasn't a very big fan. Number 3. Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Now, you know how many people hate all the Star Wars prequels. I mean, Episode 1 really got the biggest amount of hate, and I like all 3 prequels. I made it in this list that I can only choose one film per franchise. Even if there's another film in a franchise that I like that others don't like, I'm not going to choose that. I'm just going to choose the one which I feel is most deserving of being in this list. And for me, that's Episode 2. Because Episode 1, I'm not really a very big fan of. I mean, I still like it. Out of 10, I'll probably give it like a 6 or a 7. I think it's good, but it's not great. I don't think it's a really outstanding film. I mean, Attack of the Clones isn't either, but I think it's a much better film than The Phantom Menaces. And while I do love Revenge of the Sith, I didn't include that one because there are a lot of people that like Revenge of the Sith. But as for Attack of the Clones, there are some things that I don't like in it. Hayden Christensen's acting, it's not that great, his acting, but I really like Attack of the Clones because I feel like I like the fact that you get to see how the clone army was formed. I liked all the action in it. The action was really, really cool. Ewan McGregor, he really did an excellent job playing Obi-Wan Kenobi in Attack of the Clones. And Revenge of the Sith, but we're on Attack of the Clones now. He really was a great audition, if you ask me. The highlight of the film was watching Yoda fight with the lightsaber. That was awesome. But yeah, I really enjoyed Attack of the Clones. There are some problems with it. I don't think it's a perfect film, but I personally really enjoy it. It's out of all the Star Wars films, it's probably one of my least favourite ones. It's not as good as Revenge of the Sith or Episode 5 or even Episode 6, but I think it is a really good film, in my opinion. Number 2, Spider-Man 3. Now, I really like all the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. Spider-Man 1, people generally like that one. Spider-Man 2 generally got really good reviews. People loved that one. And I do agree, Spider-Man 2 is the best of them. Spider-Man 3 came out, a lot of people were seriously let down. A lot of people consider it to be one of the most disappointing superhero films ever. Some have even gone to say it's one of the worst films ever made. It's really got a huge amount of hate, but honestly, I don't think it's that bad. I mean, note that there are some really serious problems with it. There are some really dumb moments, and there is a lot of problems with it. This film really shouldn't have had as much as it has in it. And I do agree with people that complain about Venom not having enough screen time. He really shouldn't have had such little screen time as he did. He needed a lot more screen time. I mean, having such a great villain as Venom, even myself who hasn't read the comics, I think you just can't do that. He has to have a lot more screen time. Honestly, there are other things that I don't really mind. I don't really hate the fact that Peter was. I don't really mind emo Peter, to be honest. I don't really mind the fact that he ended up looking like an emo. I'm not bothered about that. Here's the thing. Spider-Man 3 is a very entertaining film, I think. While it may have its dumb moments, there are some really good things in it as well, if you ask me. And when people say, like, oh, Spider-Man 3, there's nothing good about it, I just think, there's really nothing good about it, really? There are some things that I really like about it. The action is probably the best out of all 3 Spider-Man films. I think there are some really touching moments, like when the Sandman is holding the photo of his daughter. I think that's a beautiful scene. There are some really funny things in it. And I think it is just all round very entertaining. If you're a real nitpicker and you're going to look at every single problem and you can't get past the problems, then you're probably not going to enjoy the film. But as for me, I just looked past all the flaws, and I just enjoyed it a lot for what it was. And I found it to be very entertaining, to be honest. I didn't get bored once. I thought it was a really enjoyable film. It was a good close to the Spider-Man trilogy as well. Number 1, X-Men: The Last Stand. Again, this film isn't perfect. There are definitely some problems with it. Like, why did they bring back Jean Grey just to kill her off again? However, again, like Spider-Man 3, I just really enjoy watching it. I didn't mind them killing off Professor X because it just showed how out of control Jane the Phoenix was becoming. However, I don't think it was that good to kill off Cyclops. That wasn't a very good idea at all. Like, why did they kill him off? He should have really been the one to confront Jane at the end. Really. I do like the way that there's so much action in this film. I thought Kelsey Grammer, is that his name? Kelsey Grammer? I think he played an excellent Beast. As Beast, he was perfect as Beast. He really, just like Hugh Jackman was perfect as Wolverine, and Patrick Stewart was perfect as Charles Xavier. I really enjoyed X-Men: The Last Stand, but if you didn't enjoy it, then that's fine. Well, thank you all for watching. Please don't hate on me for any of my opinions. If you disagree with what I have to say, that's absolutely fine. And please let me know, actually. Like, please let me know what films you agree with that's on my list and what films you disagree with. And let me know what films you like that most people seem to hate. I'm just open for any opinions. And thank you for watching. And please leave me some comments. Goodbye for now.